If you've ever seen The Simpsons before, this donut will be iconic to you. It's Donut Week 2.0, and here is the pink iced ring donut. If you've seen the Nutella donut video that I made, you'll know that I made too much donut dough and have back pocketed this video for a later week, hence now. But if you hadn't seen that video, then I will just very quickly recap on how I made my donut dough, just so you are fully in the loop. Obviously, as per usual, when it comes to baking, you get your dry ingredients in a bowl and then you get your wet ingredients and then you combine them together. So in the dry ingredients bowl, we had strong white bread flour, sugar, salt and instant yeast. I then warmed up 320 milliliters of water with 120 grams of butter inside it, added 4 large free-range eggs, give that a tossle to make a dough. Once that is all combined together, put that into a well-oiled bowl and allow it to rise for about 60 to 90 minutes. And once that dough had risen, I then separated it into 2 forms, obviously the Nutella one, and now I've shaped this one into a ring donut, placed it into a vat of scalding hot oil, and this is where we begin our donut fry. Now the main difference here between the Nutella donut and what we're doing now, and probably the driving factor to why in my opinion this one turned out 10 times better, is with the Nutella donut we put it into 165-ish degree oil to cook, because that's what you do with normal donuts. However, what did happen was it browned too much on the outside and the very center of the donut wasn't quite exactly where we wanted it to be. So I allowed the oil to sort of simmer at about 100 degrees, put the donut in, which then obviously dropped the temperature, and then let it rise up with the donut inside it, allowing it to sort of heat slower, cook slower, and make sure that middle was nice and fluffy throughout. And the results clearly speak for themselves. So obviously it was the better plan of action. Fortunately as well, obviously because it is at a lower temperature, the oil was far less aggressive whilst maneuvering the donut around, so like flipping it over and taking it out, etc. So we landed ourselves a technique which obviously cooked the donut a damn sight better, and I got less sort of splatters, etc. of burning hot oil, which, you know, I consider a complete win. The only downside that you do get here is naturally by dropping the cooking temperature, it does take a little bit longer to get that cooked perfect. But it is browned on the top, it is now browned on the bottom, and it is time to take this fella out and put it onto a drying rack. So carefully does it, and away we go. Now obviously he's going to need to sit on the drying rack for a minute, so we might as well crack on with the icing, the covering. The infamous pink iced coating, which once again, fortunately enough, is fairly simple. So I sifted myself around 250 grams of icing sugar into a bowl, and then added a splash of milk to sort of thicken the glaze, as well as some pink gel colouring to obviously give it that infamous sort of colour. Then we give it a good arm aching whisk to get all of the powdered sugar off the sides of the bowl, get it all sort of combined and naturally as thick as possible so it can coat the donut. Decant the icing from the larger bowl to a smaller one, as we do realise that it probably would be more logical to have the larger bowl underneath the donut to catch all of the falling icing. Realise that the icing that I made just isn't quite thick enough, so put some more icing sugar in there to thicken it up, and now we have something suitable of coating. Now whether that thinner layer of icing beforehand actually made the donut more succulent, or whether it was just a very good sort of fry and cook, I'm not entirely sure, but we will go with it. We'll go with the fact that it helped a ton. So much like a painter and decorator coming to the end of his shift on a Friday, I gave it a very quick thin coat, slapped on a thick coat right at the end afterwards, and then just let it drip, let it finish, and left it to do its thing. Again, much like a painter and decorator, I then had a quick tidy up around the place and realised that I've missed a few bits, and obviously another coat was needed, as well as obviously polishing it up with some final touches. In my case, the sprinkles. Well, hundreds and thousands as I used to call them. I don't know what you call them. Rainbow sprinkles these were called, but either way, it is the final touch to our Simpsons-esque pink iced ring donut, or giant Simpsons-esque pink iced ring donut, I probably should say. And after a painstakingly long time of letting this sort of do its thing and drip and dry, I was then able to transfer it from my makeshift drying rack onto my chopping board, where we can see it in its entire glory. Chuck it onto the scales quickly to have a look at the whopping 1.088 kilograms that this donut does weigh, and fortunately, due to my slow fry, it is perfectly cooked, fluffy all the way through, which, if I'm not mistaken, is exactly how we need our donuts cooked. So I'll treat myself to a quick nibble and then say, that was my pink ice ring donut. Which one did you prefer, this one or the Nutella? Do subscribe and check the magic out next week.